Hello, everybody. This is the Catholic Esquire. In the last few weeks, there's been nothing but confusion, chaos. Since the issuance of Fiducia Supplicans, that blessing of homosexual couples, it was issued by the Vatican. And what's interesting is you'll notice one group of people can read the same document one way, another group of people will read the document another way, and they come to diametrically opposite conclusions reading the same document. This is not the first time this has happened. This is the same thing happened when they issued Amoris Laetitia. You had arguments over, oh, this is Orthodox. No, it's not Orthodox. This is Catholic. No, it's not Catholic. And everybody's reading the exact same document. What I'd like to do is just take you back a little bit and perhaps give you some context and understanding about why this is happening. To understand that Francis, first and foremost, is a politician. He's not a pope. He's a politician. That's why if he was a real pope who was interested in guiding people in the faith, that his entire job would be to eliminate confusion, not create it. But you see, Francis is a politician. He's a Peronist politician. He's a modernist, Peronist politician. When you understand that, you understand that why what you're seeing in front of you with all this confusion and chaos over a document, you understand this is by design. This is not negligence or an accident. This is by design, okay, uh, to accomplish certain outcomes. Because politicians, remember, they're all about power, using power in order uh, to reach an outcome. All right, and there's different ways to do that. While Francis is playing 4D chess, everyone else is playing checkers here. Because everyone's under the assumption like we're just operating in this little narrow world of Catholics trying to figure out what the Pope is trying to teach us for the benefit of our faith. Oh my gosh, no. You guys, this is politics. This is big time globalist effort to use the Catholic Church in order to push or to secure political gains for factions that really have nothing to do with the church at all. What am I talking about here? Juan Peron was a president of Argentina for 3 terms, from 1946 to 1955, and then the third term from 73 to 1974. Juan Peron was known for several things, and one of the most interesting aspects of his presidency was that he didn't fit into real tight leftist, Marxist versus right fascist uh, political categories. He was a mix of it, and he sort of played both angles there, the left side, the right side. But he was always very much a populist, and so he was always making sure that everyone understood he was fighting for the little guy, the workers, especially. Right? He didn't say proletariat, but that's what he was talking about. The workers against the rich capitalist owners who are exploiting the workers. And so that was how he did it, but he did it with an iron fist. He did it with the iron fist of a dictator. So he would eliminate his political opponents, throw them in jail. He would, even those people who worked under him, who he didn't trust, he didn't mess around with them. He would eliminate them quickly. He very much used a hard hammer to destroy political opponents and to achieve his political objectives, and he was very successful at it. So you have this sort of double-sided mix of leftism and rightism, and then to infuse all of this, he attempted to at first, uh, bring it back and bring in a Christian aspect to it. He would often he called himself Catholic, and he would often refer back, especially at the beginning of his presidency, to encyclicals, the social encyclicals from the 19th century, such as Rerum Novarum, that many traditionalists today often talk about in love. But he would use that as a way to bolster his political authority by by bringing in Christianity for support. The problem was he went crossways with the church towards the in his second term, and he ended up criticizing many of the bishops and the priests for being too clerical, for being not close enough to the people. They were too high and mighty. They, this hierarchical lack of humility and equality with the working man. And he started criticizing the church for that. He also started to impose liberal policies such as divorce laws and legalization of prostitution. And so, after all was said and done, he ended up getting excommunicated by the church in the 1950s. Um, and so, it, very interesting. While he tried to use Christianity to bolster his political goals, at the end of the day, he very much didn't like what the Catholic Church was teaching in many ways, especially when it came to morals, and also felt that they weren't social justice enough. Okay, that should all sound familiar. Now, what's interesting is during the period of his exile between his second and third term, the Second Vatican Council happened. And if you go back and read some of his readings based on my research anyway, he loved Pope John the 23rd. He loved what Pope John the 23rd was about, and he loved the Second Vatican Council because Peron understood what was happening with the Second Vatican Council. It was an attempt to change the church from this clerical, rigid, backwards uh, hierarchy into the church of the people, the working man that's open to more modern ideas. He understood that very well. And so he was very much a supporter of John the 23rd. And during this time, of course, Jorge Bergoglio, he was an up-and-comer in the Jesuit order, and he actually worked with certain Argentinian political groups, one of them which was called the uh, Iron Guard from Argentina, to bring back Peron into power, and they were successful. He came back and out of exile and reclaimed power back in 1973. And Jorge Bergoglio, young Bergoglio, was very much a part of that process and that issue. Clearly, he supported Peron, and to this day, as we can see how he operates, he uses Peron's tactics to get his way into control the church. One of the um, the stories that Henry Sire in the book The Dictator Pope relayed in his book, which was interesting to help you understand this. He said at one point Peron wanted to bring his nephew in to teach him how politics works. And so what he did is he brought his nephew to a meeting with the socialists. He heard what the socialists had to say. And Peron says, "Oh, you're quite right about all of this." And then he took his nephew into a meeting with the right-wingers, the right-winger fascists, who had totally polar opposite ideas of the socialists at that time. And he listens to what they have to say. And Peron says to that group, "Oh, you're quite right." And then he takes his nephew off to the side and says, "Well, I showed you my meeting with the socialists and the fascists. What did you think about it?" And the nephew says, "This is outrageous. You told two different things to two different groups of people, and you told them that you agreed with both of them. This is a very bad thing." And Peron responds to his nephew, "Oh, you are quite right. I agree with you." You see, at the end of the day, Peron very much uh, had goals to accomplish. He was, in many ways, very successful. And he operated in a way that was completely foreign to American and European sensibilities. Americans and Europeans were so used to categories, left, right categories, and Peron didn't fit into any of that. He was sort of this weird mix. And he would use deception, honestly, an intentional misleading different groups of people in order to get what he wanted. And so that's why at the end of the day, you could have the socialists saying Peron's on my side and the right wing fascists saying Peron's on my side at the same time. That was how he operated. That was how he accomplished his goals. And this sort of thing was really foreign then and now to how we view politics. So I hope you understand that this combination of misleading, deception, modernism, all these things come together to create what we know as Francis. And it explains why there's so much confusion and chaos in the church right now. I thought this little history would be useful to you for what it's worth. Again, the book I primarily relied on was Dictator Pope by Henry Sire, but most of this information, especially about Peron, is you can just find that easily on the internet by doing some Google searches, and you can see for yourself. I hope this was helpful. If it is, please share it. Subscribe to the channel. It is helpful to me to spread the message. If you're interested in defeating modernism and restoring the Catholic Church, thank you for listening. God bless, and have a great day.